January 1st, 2020. Had a party last night. Went to bed a little bit earlier than everybody else because I'm driving home today. My brand new 3-liter Duramax. Got brand new tires. Toyo GSI 5. Cousin put them on. He's the tire guy, so I'm gonna test them out with that trailer back there and see how this thing tows. We got this thing hooked up just on the highway. Squatting pretty good in the back here, but the 3 liters got tons of power. Pull the trailer here. This is kind of funny. We got this thermometer on here. Doesn't read accurate at all, but it's kind of funny. Camping this trailer when we go sledding, so it's full of gear right now. We're gonna go through the scales and see what it's what the weights are. So we got the weights and we're 300 pounds over on the rear axle as we're going down the road, and we're about 950 pounds under the maximum vehicle allowable weight. So this is basically as much as you're ever going to tow or allowed to be towing with this truck. And you know, it's got a lot of power. The 3-liter diesel definitely is capable of towing the trailer, but the trailer is definitely doing quite a bit of driving. So if you're driving or pulling a trailer this big all the time, this definitely wouldn't be ideal. But as far as maintaining highway speed, you know, coming from a complete stop, it has no trouble getting up the highway speed, and just the feedback from the trailer is a little bit more than you want. And if we were to pull that other 300 pounds off the tongue and put it on the rear of the trailer to counterbalance it, it would start steering even more. So it's not what you want while you're going down the road. There is some cool features though as far as trailer towing. The integrated trailer brake control, which is connected to the ABS brakes, and basically when you go into an ABS situation, it'll interrupt the power going to the brakes on the trailer so they're not locked up. It's a nice feature on an icy road. So when we were driving out from the lake today, the roads were super icy, so we were able to see that feature work, and it gives you a graph on where it is on the scale, and you can see it's interrupting the power, which is cool. Another feature is the transfer case. It's got a 2-speed transfer case with the off-road package, and it's got an auto option too. So with the auto option, what they're doing is they're engaging the front axle and basically spinning all the gears in the front axle and the drive shaft. So we're in auto right now as we're going down the road, so there's no power going to that front axle unless your traction control kicked in and then the transfer case would engage. So the way I would use this, so if I was coming up onto an icy stretch or I was going to come in and pass somebody, I can flip to 4 high, and this shift is going to be a lot quicker because the drive shaft, all the oil and everything is warm, it's ready to go. So switching back and forth from auto to 4-wheel drive, basically not doing any harm to the synchros or the clutch inside of that transfer case because the drive shaft's already spinning. So switching back and forth at highway speed from auto to 4 high is seamless. So, you know, conditions change, you want to switch from auto to 4 high, you know, all the oil in the front dips nice lubed up, everything's ready to go. So if you're driving up a mountain pass and the road conditions are changing, but on the alternative, when you're in auto, you're spinning that drive shaft all the time, so you are burning a little bit more fuel, so it'll hurt that fuel economy a little bit. So just switch back here. The other thing is this 3-liter diesel's got a variable displacement oil pump, which changes the oil pressure depending on the load on the motor. So right now we're going to be going down a hill. I'm just going to cancel the cruise, and you can see the oil pressure basically just drops off there. And then if I put the motor under a load, you can see how it pops up, and it's not proportional to the RPM of the motor. They're adjusting it depending on the load on the motor, which is really cool. My old truck, it was basically, it was on the RPM range, and you know, basically higher RPM, higher oil pressure. So we're doing a 0 to 100K from a roll, pretty much at max payload. This is the 3-liter Duramax in tow haul. So not too bad, not the greatest, but definitely gets you going. All right, we're just fueling up here. Got the big card lock nozzle in there, so that's nice. It's not quite, gonna have to choke her down a bit. And finally got home here. 19.1 liters per 100. So with basically 15,000 pounds combined vehicle weight, that's not too bad. I wanted to touch on a couple things. As far as the cruise control goes, if you set the cruise control, it does a really good job of using the engine to maintain your speed. Say if you're going down a hill and you start overshooting your set point, it will start grabbing gears quite aggressively to slow the truck down, so that's good. When you're not in cruise control and you use the brake, it doesn't really give you any engine braking at all, so you kind of have to use the cruise control to, if you want to use the engine, or put it into the manual transmission mode and brake manually. I wanted to explain a little bit about the trailer and why it was wobbling on the road a little bit. So basically the sled trailer is a lot longer, and the load is spread out, you know, in front of the axle and behind the axle, and that's when you when it starts moving around, it'll start steering the vehicle a little bit more. So in comparisons, when you put a trailer where the load is central right over top of the axle, or it's slightly shifted forward to give you a nice tongue weight, you know, those are ideal conditions. And if you're towing a holiday trailer or an enclosed trailer with sleds in it, your load is spread out in front of the axle and behind the axle. And one thing that I would do if I was hauling that sled trailer a lot is I'd put a set of torsion bars on the back onto the hitch, and what that's going to do is it's going to take weight off of the rear axle and push it up to the front axle. It's going to tilt the back of the truck up and force more of that weight, it's a torsion, onto the front axle, and it's going to make that trailer ride a lot smoother. So if you just put a set of airbags in the back and just overload the rear axle, it's going to look better, but the ride's not going to be as good and the truck's not going to be as stable. So if you put the torsion bars on, then you can kind of put a little bit more of the weight equal on the truck, and it'll tow quite a lot better. So another thing too was the fuel economy on the trip was getting quite a bit better as we got closer to Calgary. It's quite a bit flatter here, and when we were going through the mountain pass, there's, you know, with the hills, and I wasn't driving, you know, to force fuel economy. I was trying to feel the truck out, and you know, I was holding it to the floor quite a bit to see what it could do. And you know, I feel like if you're driving it quite a bit nicer and the roads were a lot flatter, you could probably get it a lot better fuel economy into the 18, maybe 17 range hauling that trailer. So it's pretty impressive.